First up is Analjit Singh, the founder and chairman of Max India Limited, a $1 billion plus conglomerate with interests in life insurance, healthcare, health insurance, senior living, contract research, and specialty packaging films. He was conferred Padma Bhushan, one of India's top civilian honors, by the President of India in 2011. Mr. Singh is also a member of the Prime Minister's Joint Indo-US CEOs Forum and the chairman of CII's National Committee on Insurance and Pension. He's also the father of one of my new best friends, Veer Singh, who we'll also be hearing from later in the program. Please, a warm round of applause for Analjit Singh.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, GSWS. No, not good enough. That's the challenge for the first speaker. Good morning, GSWS. Thank you, thank you. So, correctly introduced, I am Analjit Singh, Veer and Tara's father. Early next year, I will turn 60. And I, looking back, feel that in these 60 years, I've really only learned one thing. The rest is imitation. So what is that one thing? And that one thing is about one's mind. Your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Now, we are a privileged lot, and therefore we don't have to worry about food and nourishment. But that said, really the top priority on your mind should be your mind. The Guru Granth Sahib, which is the scripture of the Sikh faith, has a very nice line which says, Man jeete, jag jeet. Literally translated, it means if you have won your mind, you have won the universe. The Gita, lessons in Vedanta, and other scriptures also say the same thing. But then the scripture goes on to say that to train and shape your mind, you have to beat it most often like an ironmonger beats metal and iron to give it the shape that you want. Because the mind otherwise is like a monkey. It jumps from place A to B, from branch to branch, tree to tree, place to place, and so on and so forth. And so therefore, that particular exercise of beating your mind to train your mind is very important. And oftentimes in meditation, we are taught a technique where you're taught to sit down, and then you concentrate from your toes and your feet upwards. I think most of you are familiar with that. So similarly, when you find your mind jumping from place A to place B, one other technique which is very useful, I use a lot, is you bring your mind, like you do a cursor, to the top of a staircase, and you channel it down using your hands with the balustrading, and that helps you to focus your mind. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, who will bless us later this morning, repeatedly delivers two core messages around mindfulness and compassion. He says worrying is a sign of ignorance, and I'm sure he'll talk about that today. Mindfulness, he says, comes from four things: correct thinking, correct speaking, correct actions, and a spirit of altruism. And I hope he will dwell on that today. Compassion, he says, comes from a still, peaceful, and understanding mindset, from believing that you witness life and that you are not life. And therefore, if you are about life and life is not about you, the only option you have is to embrace it. And if you do that with mindfulness and compassion, you're really on top of the curve. Coming more to the precise topic of this session, let me start saying that in my experience, there is a mistaken belief that entrepreneurs like us only enter business for the sake of profit. That is indeed not the case. Many do so to address things that need to be done. And Vana, as an example, as a family, is a picture of that. If financial return and business were the only consideration, I don't think the Vana investment per se, because it is not an investment, it is a journey, would rack up as being top 3 or top 5. But there is a need for initiatives like Vana, and we have others in the region like Kamalaya and so on. So in my business, which is the more specific topic of my talk, there have been 3 horizons. The first one was to get started, very opportunistic, avail the opportunities in India from being a closed country, a closed market system, and so on and so forth. And this was the kind of thing in the 80s and the early 90s. Then in the second phase, which is really only about 12 years old, we came through with a clearer expression of our values, our inner voice and inspiration of who we are as a family and what we needed to do and not only wanted to do. And this phase started around 2000 and went till about last year. In these 12 years, I'm pleased to say, we cover now 3 million lives through our life insurance business called Max Life. Till last year was a partner with New York Life and therefore called Max New York Life till then and now called Max Life. We insure 2.1 million lives for health insurance, and we see approximately 3.6 million patients a year in the Max healthcare system. That 3.6 million comes from a cluster of outpatients and of course surgeries and procedures, and the surgeries and procedures stand in 2013 as about 250,000 per year. So you can imagine the lives we touch and the benefit we bring. So this second horizon, I wanted to say, which came out of the first horizon, came from a spirit that business had to mean more than business. The business had to touch something. It had to come from an inspiration of mindfulness and comparison. And it had to be meaningful to life, and as a business, relatively less sensitive to political, financial vagaries and risks, and be of international class in style. And may I say that this whole penchant need for being focused on quality, and some of you have seen that come through in Vana, started with the concept and philosophy of the family, where the first 3 US FDA approved plants in this country in my first horizon of business life was set up by the Max Group. The third horizon, in which we are now, is a deeper and sharper manifestation of the second one. And that's where wellness and our senior living initiative come from. The Vana story has transformed into true wellness, and that is the translation of Veer's spirit. This spirit, I believe in Veer, has been aroused with a deep sense and commitment to nature, purity, wellness, and doing right and doing good. It's sort of having a vision of utopia and being intent on changing the given to create the best versus being intent on maximizing the benefits from what is given. And in that sense, Veer has displayed a sort of Steve Jobs sort of commitment, focus, and determination to create a true example of wellness in our country. Senior living and wellness is much the same. It's an initiative which provides a lifestyle to seniors. Gate opens at age 60, and I was sharing with some friends yesterday that it's rather an interesting paradox that when a newborn child is announced in the family, for the next 20 years, the family galvanizes to make sure this child is properly launched into this world. The obstetrician, the pediatrician, the choice of room, the color of crib, the play school, the kindergarten school, the marriage, and what have you. But when you become a senior, supposedly at 60, not even your family comes up to ask you to say, hey, what have you planned for the rest of your life? What's going on? Living, yes, but who cares about living? You have to worry about life, and you have to start on the right foot, you know? So what are you doing about your physical health, your mental health? Nobody asks you that. And little do people know that the single largest cause of fatalities in the world is first falls, second loneliness, and 3, all the medical ailments that we are familiar with. So what are you doing to create the balance, not only mental, but physical, and so on and so forth? And that's where our whole senior living and wellness initiative come from. So people don't know when we talk about wellness that a part of it, when we talk about falls, for example, you talk about Tai Chi, you talk about so many other programs in the wellness regime, that they help flexibility, they help strength, they help mindful control, and they help you develop a level of fitness so that you are actually better adept at preventing falls and the like, and live life rather than just let life live you kind of business. So in our country, as we have progressed from an emerging economy nearer to an emerged one, as some may say, or from a third world to a second one, and in some areas a first world economy, life has been considered cheap in our country, truly. The attitude of people has been, you break a leg, you get a plaster, you get all right. But that is beginning to change. So today we see trends that manifest much higher levels of wellness, well-offness, disposable income, and people are actually engaging in recreation and in looking after themselves. And of course, we have to remember that when we refer to India, there are many Indias within India. But in the part of India, which is a land, truly a land of opposites, in some sections, such as the one we are in now, and that comprises a large number, because anywhere you dice and slice the market segment here, you have millions sitting in that box, not thousands of people. So we are seeing in India a shift to care versus treatment, to prevention versus involuntary treatment, a shift from food to nutrition, a shift from exercise to fitness, a shift from rest to wellness, and from purely social vacations to get away to manage stress and the like. And finally, while medical science today, of which we are acutely and seriously a part of, has the capability to keep us alive for a long time, or a long, long time, I should say, that augurs well for the life insurance business, I may say, it cannot improve the quality of life beyond a point. So longevity, yes, quality, question mark. And so the onus is, the onus to ensure that we live well is upon us. And I think that is the main takeaway that I want to leave you with, is that, well, not you, but others that you help in the rest of the world. And therefore, the desire to do what needs to be done versus what must be done with a set of accountability, fair and reasonable profit, without profiteering at somebody else's expense, I believe is our responsibility. And that's also what my father taught me. So with these few words, thank you for your patient listening. Have a great day. God bless.